Hi everyone, I'm going to explain who the woman in Revelation 12 is. You can know one's entire theology by who they think the woman in Revelation 12 is. The deceived Catholics think that this is Virgin Mary, and this is where they idolize the image of Guadalupe. The deceived replacement theology club that replaces Israel with the church thinks the woman is the church. But for those who know their Bible and have correct eschatology, know that the woman is no other than Israel. The woman is Israel. Let's read verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Now, how do we know this? Because we're going to compare it verse with other verse, okay? So we're going to compare this to Joseph's dream in Genesis. So let's go to Genesis. Okay, let me get right here. Let me see if I'm evened up here. There we go. Joseph had a dream. Let's read his dream. And he dreamed another dream, and he told it to his brethren. And he said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obedience to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said to him, What is this dream that you dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brethren indeed come down and bow down to you, bow down ourselves to you to the earth? So Jacob, Joseph's father, knew that Joseph's dream was Israel because, look, the more you read the Old Testament, the more Revelation is so clear. This is how you know one doesn't study the Old Testament. Then they won't understand Revelation either. Genesis and Revelation is the cover and the shell. So this makes it very clear the woman is Israel because the sun is Jacob. The moon is Rachel. And the 12 stars in Revelation is none other than the 12 Hebrew tribes. All right, let's go back. There we go. So, clarifying that, let's move on to verse 2. I'm going down to verse 6. And she being with child, now that we know that the woman is Israel, it all makes sense. And she, that's Israel, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. So in verse 2, so now that we know Israel is the woman, it all makes sense. Israel was in grief for the Messiah to be born out of her. Verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads, 10 horns, 7 crowns upon his heads. So this is where it takes extra studying, and a lot of this can come from Daniel, especially chapter 2, if you study the Nebuchadnezzar statue. Daniel, I say, is end time prophecy in black and white, while Revelation is high definition. I say Daniel is the basement and Revelation is the house, okay? So notice the red dragon, well, that's none other than Satan, okay? The red dragon is Satan. Notice he has 7 heads. Heads are empires, okay? From Daniel and from the Old Testament, we will know the empires that ruled the earth. So we have Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medes, Persia, Greece, the Roman Empire, and then the revived Roman Empire. Those are the 7 heads. Satan, notice he has 7 crowns. Okay, he has 7 crowns. So there's 7 heads, and then he has 7 crowns, which means he ruled over each of those empires. Okay? The seventh is what's forming right now, the revived Roman Empire. That's the global government. Also notice the 10 horns. Look, 10 horns. That means during the global government, the world will somehow be divided among 10 leaders. We get this from the 10 toes of the Nebuchadnezzar statue in Daniel chapter 2. This makes it clear Satan will rule over these 10 leaders. Verse 4. And his tail, that's Satan, drew the third part of the stars of heaven and cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So in verse 4, now this verse is from the beginning to all the way to the time Jesus was to be born in Israel. When Satan got kicked out of heaven, Satan took 1/3 of the angels with him. So when it says that his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, that means he took 1/3 of the angels from heaven. When he fell. Then 4,000 years later, he is ready to kill baby Jesus. Okay? Satan knew since the beginning that the Messiah would come from the Jews. See Genesis 3, verse 15. We see how Satan tried to off the boys of the Jewish people since the beginning, the time of Moses. To the time of Jesus, he had Pharaoh and King Herod kill off many baby boys. This is why the Jews are the most persecuted. All prophecy comes from them. They are the key. Verse 5. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all the nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God to his throne. Hallelujah. Israel brought Jesus. That's the man-child. The man-child is Jesus. This makes it clear God came in human flesh. He was 100% God and 100% human. Then it flashes to the end of Jesus' time on earth when he descended to heaven after he resurrected. See Isaiah 9, verse 6, that the government will be on his shoulders. Verse 6. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. Then Israel will flee midpoint tribulation to a place called Petra, Jordan. See Isaiah 16, verse 1. They will be taken care of the last 3.5 years. That's exactly 1,260 days. And Satan cannot touch them. Stay here. Look in 13 and 14. So there's a big war in heaven. Satan and Michael the archangel with their angels, they're fighting. Satan gets kicked out of the heavens. He goes to the earth. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman, this is Israel, which brought forth the man-child. Into the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and a half a time. That means 3.5 years from the face of the serpent. There we go. So, the woman in chapter 12 is none other than Israel. That's the description for the woman in Revelation 12. Do not take any Bible advice from one who denies the woman is Israel. It's heretical to say otherwise. It means they have the beliefs more of Hitler, because they refuse to accept the fact that God has a glorious promise for the Jews. God bless you all.